Assalamu alaikum. Welcome my YouTube family to your own channel which is Gul Knowledge Hub. Today we are going to discover 5 stages of enjoyment in language learning. So before any due we should get into the video. So what are the 5 stages of enjoyment in language learning in any language of the world? Whether it is German, whether it is Arabic or Urdu or Punjabi or Hindi or any language of the world, especially we are referring to English language. There are 5 stages. There are 5 levels of enjoyment in this language learning process. Number 1 is that you are discovering the language. This is the first enjoyment which you get while acquiring a new language. You are just discovering a new language, like you are discovering a new island. And for discovering a new island or for discovering a new language, you feel that you are enjoying this process, you are having fun. And this is the first stage, because there were only sounds, and sounds becomes words. First those were only sounds, and then sounds becomes words. So it is very good, and it is a stage of enjoyment that you are now recognizing those sounds into the words. This is very much enjoyable activity, that you are discovering a new language, a new pattern, new structures, new culture, new traditions of that language. Because when you are learning a language, in fact, you are learning the traditions, you are learning the customs, you are learning the traditions, values, behaviors, norms, each and everything of that society. For example, if you are learning English language, by doing this, you will learn the culture, the traditions, the norms of English society. So to discover a new language means to discover a new culture, to discover a new society. In fact, you are discovering an island of English. And it is very enjoyable thing that you are discovering a new island. The number 2 stage of enjoyment is that language becomes familiar. First, those were only sounds. Whatever the other person speaks, you are hearing only the sounds, because you can't comprehend, you can't understand the meanings of those words. Now at second level of enjoyment, you understand the meanings of those words. You are not very much familiar to that language, but you are familiar to a certain level of words. You are familiar with a small amount of words, but to be familiar with a small amount of words is a second enjoyment, is an enjoyment thing, because the first sounds now becomes words. You are in a position to make small sentences. Wow, it's a great thing. You are enjoying the process, you are at the second stage, and realizing this thing, that you are in a second stage of enjoyment, you are learning a new language. Language becomes familiar, words becomes familiar, you are now comprehending a certain level of words and their meanings. It's very much enjoyable activity, because when a human being gets something, he becomes involved in enjoyment. First thing was discovering the language. The second thing is that language becomes familiar. You are familiar with certain words, with some words. To be familiar with some words is very much blessing. Number 3, the plateau of learning. The number 3 enjoyment in learning a language is plateau of learning. What is plateau of learning? It is a period of frustration, because you know some words, but there are so many structures, there are so much grammar, there are so many rules, and there are so many words which are still not comprehensible by you. This thing makes you a little bit frustrated, but you also feel enjoyment in this process also, because you know that if I know some words, I will get the last of the words, the later of the words, the rest of the words I will know, and I will make more sentences. Though you are at the plateau of learning, this is the third level of enjoyment which you gain from this learning of language. Number 4, understanding of 80% of sentences. 80% of that language. Wow, you are at the fourth stage when you understand 80% of the language. It's remarkable that you can have, now you are in a position to have conversation with anyone. You can listen movies and you can also recognize them, you can also judge them, you can also understand them, and now you are functional at language. At first level, you are only discovering the words, the sounds. At second level, you are in a position to understand some words. At the plateau of language, you are struggling to gain more and more. At this level, you are gratified, or rather you are very much happy with this thought that I can have conversation with anyone. I can have conversation with one person, I can have conversation with the whole society, now I can speak to anyone. It means you are functional at language. And this is the most important enjoyment in language learning. The fourth and the fifth stage is that you are totally comfortable in language learning. Now you have no hindrance. You can understand any podcast, any news, watch movies, dramas. You can have conversation. You don't feel hesitated. You don't feel shy. You are not afraid of speaking in front of the public speaker, a native speaker. At this position, you gain confidence because you have discovered language. You are familiarized with language. You have surmounted, you have conquered the plateau of learning. You have understood 80% of language. Now you can have conversation with anyone. Now you are in a position that you feel confident. You don't have any kind of fears, apprehensions, and you are now a confident public speaker. When you are at this position, when you have no fear while you are talking to a native speaker, you don't feel shy. And it is the best stage when you are totally comfortable with that language. So these are the 5 stages, and all these stages are enjoyable. You are learning any language of the world, whether you are learning any language of the world existing on this earth, you have to pass through these stages, but you have to enjoy these stages. First, you have to enjoy the stage of discovering something new which was unknown to you before. Second, you are familiarized with some words, then you conquer the plateau of learning, and after that you have understood 80% of language and you are able to speak with anyone of the society. So these are the 5 stages of enjoyment in language learning, and enjoy all these stages of learning. In order to be confident public speaker, you should have to enjoy the discovering of language. You should be enjoyment stage, and you should enjoy the second stage of becoming familiar with language, and third, you should conquer the plateau of learning and enjoy that stage also, although it is full of difficulties. Then when you get 80% of the language, oh, feel good, enjoy that process, that now I am being able to become fluent in English, fluent in any language of the world. And the third stage and the last 5th stage is that when you are totally comfortable in language, when you don't feel shy in front of the native speaker or anyone of that society, it is the 5th and the last stage of enjoyment. Hope you have understood, and hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Hope you have understood the whole lecture. If you like the video, kindly share and subscribe it. Thank you so much.